Hey everyone, Tom here, and it's unboxing time again. This time it's a package from Printrbot, and if you looked at the video title at all, you're gonna know that this is the Printrbot Play. This is their newest model that is going to replace the Printrbot Simple, the wooden one. And you've probably seen the pictures of the Printrbot Play. It's very obviously not a wooden one anymore. Since I got a pre-release machine, your packaging list is going to look a bit different. What's going to stay the same though are the motors. Those are Kusan brand name motors. Good choice there, Printrbot, and also good choice on including some sample filament. This is roughly 250 grams of clear PLA, and it's nice to see them include some filament at least. Not all that many manufacturers are still doing that. Then there's the first laser cut sheet metal part. Again, in Printrbot fashion, this is red instead of the black you will be able to buy. And I gotta tell you, those parts, they just look super sexy. The bed, on the other hand, really isn't anything special. It's just a piece of aluminum stock. It's lightly sanded, but you can still see the manufacturing markings, but that's okay since this bed is so small and the Printrbot uses a bed sensor, so this doesn't have to be the highest precision part. What has to be a high precision part though are the linear rails, and Printrbot doesn't cheap out on those. These are for both X, Y, and Z. These are the Z rails. They are actually really nice linear rails. They're proper linear rails and not just some round bar stock they found. These are actual hardened and appear to be chromed as well. They're real linear rails and they will last forever basically. Also in here is the Z lead screw, and as usual Printrbot uses an imperial one. I wish they would start using metric ones, but as you're going to see in the review, it doesn't really matter. It wouldn't change a thing about how well the printer works. Then there's the linear rails for X and Y, and they are surprisingly short when you unpack them for the first time, but of course they're long enough to give you that 10 by 10 by 13 centimeter build space. And just like for the Z-axis ones, these are proper linear rails for the LM8UU bearings to ride on. Next up in here is the power cord, and I don't think I need to talk too much about the power cord. It's the wrong one for me anyways. I need a European one, but Printrbot shipped the US one, but that's okay. This is just a standard 3-prong cable. So this big pack right here, these are the two side panels, and they are smartly used as a container for all the smaller parts that you need to build the printer. So again, these side panels are red, they are powder coated, they are aluminum, and they are super massive for this tiny printer. In here are all the smaller miscellaneous parts that you need to build the printer. For example, this bag has the extruder block, the extruder lever, all the LM8UUs, a few random bearings, and the CNC machined Delrin parts that hold this printer together. Next up is the printer board, which is the control board that Printrbot uses on pretty much all of their printers. And the printer board, I mean, it's not a bad board. It's a board that I'd personally prefer to a Ramps if I had a 4-motor printer like this one. It's a fully featured board based on the Atmega. It runs Marlin. It has all the features you need, and it just works. Next up, a bag with belts, a few wrenches, and this braided sleeving, which means that Printrbot is finally doing some real wire management on the Play, which is something I complained about on the earliest Simples, for example. A small bag of screws, no washers in there, which is awesome, and a bag of 3D printed parts. Again, with the pre-release one, I got printed parts. You are going to get injection molded parts. Printrbot makes those themselves. And the last bag in here are all the electrical parts, which means a UBIS hot end pre-assembled, the inductive bed sensor, 2 fans, a USB cord, a few extension cords for the printer, and everything in here is plug and play. So no wire stripping, no soldering, just plugging stuff in. And that's pretty awesome. And the last side panel with the cutouts for the micro USB, micro SD, and power inputs. And this box right here contains the power supply, which in typical Printrbot fashion is this little external brick. It's not a super high-end brand name part, but it works really well for this little tiny printer. And an ample supply of zip ties. Those are more than enough for this printer. So this thing right here, this is the piece de résistance. This is the crown jewel. I've never seen a sheet metal part this intricate, and hats off to Printrbot for pulling this off. This is the X-axis assembly. It holds the bearings, the rails, the motor, the idler, all that stuff, and usually you'd have to assemble that from a dozen or so individual parts. So hats off to Printrbot for combining all that functionality into a single part. And you'll be seeing smart stuff like that a lot throughout this printer. This part right here is the fan shroud for the extruder and hot end, and it keeps fingers away from the moving parts and the hot parts in there. You don't actually need to remove that part to completely operate the printer, which is cool, but if you do have to remove it, it comes off with just 2 screws. From this part, this is the X carriage, basically. It holds 2 bearings, the extruder motor, the extruder block, the inductive sensor, the belt, all that again combined into a single beautiful part. And lastly, the printer's base. Again, a sheet metal parts, and you can already see the little ears poking out where you can insert the rubber feet that come with the printer. Again, this part combines a lot of functionality into one. It has the bearing mounts for the Y-axis, it has the motors for Z and Y, it has the mount for the printer board down there, it holds the Z linear rails, and again, it just looks beautiful. So that are all the parts that are included with the Printrbot Play kit. I'm just going to lay them all out right now, just to get an overview of what you get. On a side note, the Printrbot Play is available as a kit or as an assembled version for the same price, and that same price is pretty easily explainable. So Printrbot either spends time assembling it for you, or they'll spend time on helping you assemble it. If you have questions during assembly, Printrbot will usually try their best to keep you going. I'd personally still go for the kit version as usual. I think I've pointed that out before, just for the educational value. That is a big part of having and using a 3D printer for me. It took me about 3.5 hours to assemble this printer from scratch, from this state right here, to fully built and ready to print. On the one hand, I did have my 3D printing Padawan helping me out, but on the other hand, I didn't have the instructions that are online now yet. So I did assemble a few things not the right way around the first time. So I'd guess 4 hours is a pretty realistic time goal if you're assembling the Play for the very first time. I will be making assembly videos like I did for the Printrbot Simple Metal, so stay tuned for those. Also stay tuned for the full review of the Printrbot Play. For now, I will be leaving you with the build time-lapse. Just for reference, 1 second of what you're watching right now is roughly 50 seconds in real time. So thanks for watching, enjoy the time-lapse, and I'll see you in the next one.